guys, Liam and Bear here from GSD Bear. Welcome back to the channel. Today's video we're going to be talking about 5 things you need to consider before getting a German Shepherd. German Shepherds are an amazing breed. They are incredible in so many ways, but they do require a lot of time commitment and training. So these are things you need to carefully consider before just jumping into them because you've seen a cute picture of them online. So let's get into it. I've just been to Pet to Home and bought him a buffalo horn, so he's going to be quietly chewing on this for most of the video probably. So number one thing to consider is probably one you already know because German Shepherds are famous for it. They're also called German Shedders for this reason, shedding. So the good news is they only shed twice a year. The bad news is it's 6 months every time. So basically they shed constantly. That's why it's really important to get some good grooming tools. My go-to one is a Furminator. Honestly, it's a game changer. It's so good. I use it at least once a week, which is what you should be doing for your German Shepherd if you get one. Regular grooming is really important to maintain a healthy coat, and it's also a really important part of keeping your sanity, because if you don't keep on top of the grooming, you are going to be finding a lot of fur balls around the house. Even if you do keep on top of the grooming, you're still going to find bits of fluff. And hoovering is at least a daily thing. But yeah, grooming, keep on top of it, but it is going to be like an everyday thing. So if you're going to get a German Shepherd, long-haired or short-haired, this is going to be a constant thing that you need to bear in mind. Black clothes is basically a no-go in the house. I haven't worn black in the house for I don't even know how long. I've stopped buying black clothes. Honestly, I've got 3 dogs. The Shih Tzus aren't so bad because they don't molt like Bear does, but Bear's hair gets everywhere. If I didn't have lint rollers, I would not leave the house because I get so fuzzy from all of his hair. It's ridiculous. So yeah, be aware, the shedding is real. Make sure you get lint rollers, make sure you get a good grooming brush. I'd recommend a Furminator, but whatever you get, keep on top of it, make sure it's at least weekly, and good luck with it. The second thing to consider is you need to start training early. So if you've just come home with a German Shepherd, obviously they look cute, there's nothing that could possibly be wrong with them behavioural wise, they're just adorable, but you need to start as soon as possible really. So this can start from just basic socialisation as soon as they've had all their necessary jabs. You want to be exposing them to as many stimuli as possible, any potential noises or new things that might scare them. You want to introduce them to them as soon as possible, as often as possible, so they don't associate it in a negative way. A lot of positive reward training is going to help with that. So it's really important to expose them to as much as possible from that early age, as soon as it's safe to do so. Something else to consider is that they do have a tendency to want to protect you. They are well known as guard dogs when they grow up, so that is something you need to keep in check. Obviously it's great that they're protective, that's a big part of why a lot of people like them, and it is lovely to know that they're there for you, they're going to have your back. But you want to make sure that doesn't go to the extreme, to the point where you can't take them out and be in public with them. You don't want them to be a danger to other dogs or other people. So exposing them to as many new people as possible at an early age is going to really help with that. With Bear, we took him to classes from when he was 3 months old. As soon as we were able to, he was socialised with dogs from an early age, socialised with people from an early age. He's still a bit wary of people, to be honest. He's not aggressive, he'll walk past people in the street absolutely fine, but he is very watchful of people, and if we've got someone walking behind us, he is constantly, keeping an eye out on them, which is nice. There's nothing wrong with that, but that's like as far as you really want it to go in public. You don't want him to be like a bite risk to people, because that can get you in a whole world of trouble, and you don't want to go down that road with your dog. It's different if you go into protection training. In the US, I know it's a little bit different to the UK, but in the UK you've got to be super careful with these things because you don't want to lose your dog. German Shepherds are the sort of breed that like to be the leader of the pack. You need to be careful that that doesn't happen. You need them to know that you're the leader, you're in charge, they're placed in the pecking order, so to speak. So just make sure you've got that ingrained from an early age, so they're looking to you for guidance rather than them telling you what to do. That's not a good place to be. This is particularly important when you're out for walks because they like to be in front, so pulling on the leads is a big problem for a lot of new owners. Bear now walks perfectly to heel, which is great. There's a lot of different training methods you can do to achieve this, but it is something you need to start ingraining from an early age so it doesn't get to a point where they're, I don't know how many pounds, really heavy, really strong dogs, and you can't take them out because they're so strong and they're taking you for a walk. You don't want that. So teaching this from an early age, they're going to have a more enjoyable walk, you're going to have a more enjoyable walk, and it's just better for everybody. The third thing to consider is health issues. So German Shepherds unfortunately are prone to a lot of health conditions. Obviously you'll know that Bear was diagnosed with hip dysplasia when he was 6 months old. That is a big issue for German Shepherds. Also elbow dysplasia. When these conditions go untreated, it can lead to osteoarthritis later in life, other arthritis conditions, degenerative myelopathy, pancreatitis, whole range of back problems. You know, there's lots of things to consider here, so that's why it's really important. If you haven't bought your puppy yet, make sure you're going to a registered breeder who fully health screens all their prospective parents for any health conditions. They do a hip and elbow scores, you know, full scans of the dogs before they breed them, because you don't want to be in a position a couple of months down the line, you've bought a lovely puppy and then you find out they've got a whole host of problems. You really need to ideally avoid this from the beginning, because it is just going to bring you so much heartache and it's not fair on the dogs. And ultimately this is something we need to breed out of German Shepherds, especially the hip dysplasia. That's such a common problem. So yeah, if you take anything away from this video before getting your German Shepherd puppy, please go to a registered breeder. Please ask for proof of health records, health testing. Just do as much as you can to ensure that your puppy is healthy. And then of course when you've got your puppy, you're going to want to be doing regular checkups, regular vaccinations to maintain their health, great diet, proper exercise levels, nothing too much, nothing too strenuous when they're growing. And then something else I'd really recommend is getting a good health insurance. Try and take out one that covers you for as much as possible. The earlier you take it out in your dog's life, so if they're a puppy, it's going to be cheaper, but it's also going to cover them for as much as possible. Get the highest cover you can afford, just for peace of mind if nothing else. And then if anything does happen further down the road, you're just going to be so glad that you've got it. It's just a little backup plan, and it's just one less thing to worry about. Another thing to consider is that this breed, they need a lot of mental stimulation, physical and mental. It's not just enough to walk them once a day, like many other dogs that will be fine with that. They're so intelligent, they're so smart, they get really bored easily. So just taking them for a quick walk, even if they're tired, like immediately afterwards, half an hour later they're going to be rearing to go again. And they're just so into everything. The majority just won't be content with that. Bear, he's constantly active. Even if I take him for a walk, he might have a quick nap when we come back, and then he's ready to go again. He'll be following me around the house, waiting to get involved with the next thing that I'm doing. Just at a minute's notice, if I said let's go, he's there, he's ready. So they're not the sort of dog that you can leave in the house for long periods on their own. They're gonna get bored, they're probably gonna get destructive, and you can't blame the dog for that, because when you take on a German Shepherd, it's on the understanding that they are a really active, intelligent breed. They need this stimulation. So if you leave them on their own for long periods with nothing to do, they're going to make their own fun. If I leave Bear in the house whilst I'm watering the plants outside, he'll be crying in the kitchen because he knows where I am. He wants to see what I'm doing. He wants to be involved. So it's not the sort of dog that you can just leave in the living room whilst you go out and do something. They're going to want to be with you. A good way to cope with this is taking them to training classes. German Shepherds do really well when they've got a job to do. So whether you're taking them to agility, obedience, scent trailing, is something that's really going to mentally stimulate them. They're going to really enjoy that, and something that puts their mind to the test. That's going to wear them out just so much more than a walk or a run would do. If I took Bear for an hour walk, he'd have a nap and he'd be rearing to go again after half an hour. If I take Bear for a 30-minute training session where I'm putting his mind to the test, you know, I'm making him sit stay, his mind is constantly going, he is zonked then for the rest of the day. When we take him to training on a Saturday, we've got an hour session of 50% agility, 50% obedience, and that wipes him out for the whole day. He is so tired after that because his mind has really been racing the whole time. He's looking at me for instructions, you know, he's interacting with other dogs, he's listening, and that just really stimulates him so much better than physical activity, I find. Training classes are also a great way of bonding with your dog, particularly when they're puppies. It's going to make them really look to you for instruction. It's a great outlet for energy and also socialisation. There's going to be loads of other dogs at that class, loads of other people, and that interaction is so beneficial, especially for puppies. With Bear, we still do it, we've carried it on, he's 2 years old now, but just like reaffirming that every time is so good for him. And the final thing to consider, you may have heard this before, German Shepherds are often referred to as Velcro Dogs. This is because they are literally like shadows. I know a lot of breeds can have this trait, but it just seems so much stronger in German Shepherds. They always want to be with you, literally whatever you're doing, no matter how tedious it seems. I could be, you know, fixing something in the kitchen, I could be tidying up, he is constantly there, he's wanting to see what I'm doing, and he's genuinely interested. He doesn't care like what it is, he just wants to be involved, he wants to have a role in what I'm doing. and he just loves it. It doesn't matter what we're doing, he just wants to be there. Does it mean you're going to be tripping over them in the kitchen when you're making dinner? Yes. Does it mean you're going to be in the bathroom together? Yes. Does it mean they're going to want to come out in the car with you all the time? Yes. So I mean, if you're looking for that sort of companionship from a dog, you will not find a better breed to do that than a German Shepherd. It's just something you learn to love about the breed. I love it. I love the fact that he wants to be with me all the time. It's just a lovely thing to have, that loyalty. It's one of my favourite things about the breed. However, this means that they're not an ideal dog for people who are going to be out all day, every day. They can suffer from separation anxiety. That can lead into destructive tendencies. So that's just something to consider. If you can have somebody going in to check on them during the day, or you can work from home certain days, that's okay. They adapt really well, but generally speaking, they're just the sort of dog that like to be with you, and if you can try and take them to as many places with you as possible, they're going to really appreciate that. So the pro of this is that you've got an incredibly loyal companion. You'll never find a more loyal dog than a German Shepherd, in my opinion. They're just your best friend, and I love that. So that's it for today's video. Hopefully you find some of those things helpful. Obviously there's a lot of other things to consider before you get a German Shepherd, but those are just 5 things that I thought I should highlight. If you do get one and you have the time commitment for them, honestly you will be so rewarded in the dog that you have at the end of it. They are incredible dogs and you will not regret it. Don't forget to subscribe. We put out new videos every week. Turn on notifications to be notified, and I'll see you next time.